right, next up we have Damien James. Damien is self-taught. Damien James is not a professional ventriloquist, a football player, or an Australian DJ. Damien James likes to think that all Damien Jameses are elements of the universal Damien James, each springing forth from the same essence so that none of them could exist without the others. Damien James has yet to meet anyone who shares his namesake. Round of applause for Damien.
I do not have an accent. I have no idea where that intro came from. For the architects in the crowd, these are the two buildings that I've worked in for the last 21 years. The Chicago Tribune and the Monadnock. Both pretty spectacular structures to walk into on a daily basis. However, about a year ago, almost a year ago, I decided to quit my job and try to live off art, which was both terrifying and exhilarating. My brother, as a way to encourage me and as an early 40th birthday gift, took me with him to Paris. Pretty fucking great, I know. He had no idea that it was exactly 23 years since my first trip when I was 17. That's me in Paris, you can tell by the French spray paint. When I got there, I realized it was also the 40th birthday of the Pompidou Center, which I had very vivid memories of as a kid. So there were signs all over Paris with my birthday on them. And it felt kind of like Paris was saying happy birthday to me as well. I decided to take this as a sign that I had made the right choice by giving up the shitty day job and trying to live off art. It felt like there was a lot of synchronicity at work. I know it's a ridiculous visual gag for a single word, but there were a lot of police out because the French election process had just started. Thank you. One of the highlights of the trip was going to the Picasso Museum. The exhibit at the time was all about Olga, his first wife, who at the beginning of their relationship was rendered in very sumptuous color, very soft light. But as you move through the exhibit, you actually see how their relationship changed. She became ill, he became more of a philandering bastard. And his pictures of her took on a very different tone. It got me to thinking about how relationships have impacted my own art. I started my adult art-making career in the context of raising kids. That's making art as an adult, not making adult art. So I spent a lot of time playing with these two little girls who were like 3 and 8 when I really got back into art making. Play became important, as evidenced here by the School of Fish riding unicycles. Being around them and their sort of wide-eyed sense of wonder about the world really imbued my work with a sense of play and an appreciation for wonder as well. There were all kinds of firsts that I was able to experience with them that I had forgotten from my own childhood. Things as simple as tying their shoes for the first time. They were so gratified by simple experience that I benefited from that. I also, in drawing with them and drawing around them and having them near me when I was drawing, gained a greater appreciation for the scribble, which is undoubtedly the very first mark that any of us make. There's an energy in the scribble that I found to be kind of freeing, and there's a lack of self-consciousness that I witnessed in their mark making that really gave me some confidence in my own mark making. So they made a big impact on me when I started making art. These are scribbles. I mean, they're definitely tightly confined scribbles, but they're scribbles nonetheless. One of the other things that making art in the context of raising a family did was it made me hyper aware of all the terrible shit that happens in the world. Because when you have kids, you have a different stake in the future. This, for example, is 2007. So there was a war going on. there were images of torture coming back from Abu Ghraib, and I felt like art was a good way to think about and talk about these things. But if you're trying to raise people who are relatively happy, it's hard to stay in that kind of place. It's a deep, dark rabbit hole you can get sucked into with news and the incredible amount of terrible things that people do to other people. So I decided to take a different direction and use art as a way to kind of meditate and find a peace inside that I didn't see externally. I got into this habit of, once the kids were in bed, I'd get stoned and put on some music and try to just disappear from the process of art making and let my hand do all the thinking. Oh, that's a little pixelated, isn't it? At the time, I was very into a couple Radiohead albums and classical Indian music, which I learned about through these lentils. They would put CDs. They would put CDs in these packages by guys like Pandit Taran Bhattacharya and Chidi Babu, total Susian names, but absolute masters of what is essentially trance music. So I got into the habit of making art and not thinking about myself or anything other than the act of creating, which also goes back to the children. This kind of, and this is actually up at ARC Gallery right now, Bucktown, if anyone wants to check it out. Making art in the context of a kind of meditative practice also opened me up to art as a therapeutic practice. And I feel like everyone living in the modern world needs therapy to deal with all the shit. And art really helped me get in touch with that kind of inward-looking self-reflection that has never necessarily been easy for me, but especially since I have quit working for other people, I found pretty essential for my own peace and well-being. And if you're gonna raise people to be happy, I think you first have to be happy yourself. This piece, actually, the time I put into this and the thought that went into this is actually what allowed me to realize I needed to quit my day job and only make art, because nothing made me feel better. And that's my last image, so thank you for listening.